Germany is crashing toward its third straight year of recession, and Canada just turned its back on America, sending its first massive LNG cargo to Asia. This is Andrew Meet Rich, your former state media analyst who chose truth over comfort. I now live independently in Europe, connecting dots the establishment once buried. Let me tell you what's really happening while the mainstream media feeds you fairy tales. Germany, once Europe's industrial powerhouse, is facing its worst crisis since reunification. Manufacturing is collapsing, companies are fleeing, and their politicians are clueless. But wait until you see how Canada just played the ultimate chess move against Trump's tariff threats. You won't believe this. If you're tired of being lied to, hit that like button and subscribe. My sponsors and I are building something different here, a community that values truth over comfort, because tomorrow the news could change everything. Germany's economy has entered what economists call permanent crisis mode, with the Handelsblatt Research Institute declaring it the greatest crisis in post-war history. Let me break this down for you. The country that was Europe's economic powerhouse became the worst-performing major economy globally in 2023 with a 0.9% contraction, followed by further 0.5% contraction in 2024. And now, listen carefully. The Federation of German Industries forecasts the economy will contract by another 0.1% in 2025. That's 3 straight years of decline, something not seen since reunification. The manufacturing PMI plummeted to 40.6 in September 2024, marking the 27th consecutive month of contraction. 27 months of continuous decline. You see the pattern, right? This isn't just a recession. It's systematic destruction of everything Germany built since 1945. German companies are relocating production abroad, citing lower costs and fewer bureaucratic hurdles. The industrial base that built modern Germany is literally packing up and leaving. Economy Minister Robert Habeck announced a projected GDP contraction of 0.2% for 2024, drastically reduced from forecasts of 1.3% growth. The German economy is being squeezed between China and the United States, caught in a vice grip with no escape route. Since 2017, Germany has grown by just 1.6%, while the EU average hit 9.5%. Employment plans are particularly weak in industry, where almost 1 in 3 companies are cutting staff. Only 11% intend to hire new workers. What's happening here goes far beyond normal economic cycles. Here's where it gets even worse. Germany's previous dominance was built on 2 pillars: cheap Russian natural gas and massive exports to China. Both pillars have completely crumbled. The energy costs that made German manufacturing globally competitive, destroyed by Western sanctions that were morally necessary but economically devastating. Russian gas accounted for significant portions of Germany's energy supply, powering everything from steel mills to chemical plants. Now, German companies face energy prices that are 4 times higher than their American competitors. And China, they've gone from Germany's biggest customer to their biggest threat. Chinese manufacturers like BYD and NIO are entering European markets with affordable electric vehicle models, outpacing German automakers in battery technology and production scalability. Let me repeat that clearly. China is systematically eating Germany's lunch in the very market Germans thought they'd dominate for decades. BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Volkswagen are grappling with high production costs and regulatory hurdles, while Chinese competitors receive massive state subsidies. Major German Fortune 500 companies announced more than 60,000 layoffs last year. 60,000 jobs vanished into thin air. The automotive sector, Germany's crown jewel, is facing an existential crisis. Production in energy-intensive industries has fallen by 1/5 since the Ukraine invasion began. What do you think? Comment below if you see where this trajectory leads. The numbers don't lie, and the direction is crystal clear. While Germany crumbles, Canada just executed a brilliant strategic move that left Trump completely speechless. On June 30th, 2025, LNG Canada successfully loaded its first cargo of liquefied natural gas destined for global markets, marking Canada's bold declaration of energy independence from America. This isn't just any routine shipment. This represents Canada's calculated response to American economic pressure. The $18 billion export terminal in Kitimat, British Columbia, is now more than 98% completed after nearly 7 years of construction. You won't believe this timing. Trump announced sweeping 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico in January 2025, threatening the highly integrated North American auto supply chain and energy relationships. Canada's response: turn directly to Asia and cut America out of the equation entirely. LNG shipments from Canada's west coast to Asia take approximately 10 shipping days, whereas shipments from the U.S. Gulf Coast must navigate through the Panama Canal and require around 20 days. Canada just offered Asian markets a faster, more reliable, and cheaper alternative to American energy. The geopolitical chess move is absolutely masterful. TC Energy CEO François Poirier believes Canada can become the #1 exporter of liquefied natural gas to Asia, directly challenging American energy dominance. Prime Minister Mark Carney is executing his campaign pledge to make Canada an energy superpower globally while reducing dependence on volatile American trade policies. This terminal can process 14 million tons of LNG annually, with plans for Phase 2 expansion to double that capacity. And now listen carefully to these staggering numbers. In 2023, 97% of Canada's crude oil exports and virtually all natural gas exports were sent south of the border to America. Canada was completely, utterly dependent on the United States for energy revenue, but Trump's aggressive tariff threats became the wake-up call Canada desperately needed to break free from this dangerous dependence. As the trade war escalates, the Canadian energy industry views LNG Canada as definitive proof that the country can successfully ship its abundant resources to new markets and dramatically reduce its economic reliance on unpredictable American policies. Here's where Trump's strategy completely backfires. Asian countries, including Japan and China, are scrambling to buy more US LNG as negotiations with the Trump administration intensify to avoid higher tariffs. Japan has committed to 15 and 20-year agreements totaling 3 million tons per year, while China agreed to purchase 14 million tons of US LNG from 2026. But guess what happens now? Canada offers Asia a superior deal with dramatically shorter shipping times, lower transportation costs, and more reliable supply chains. Canada currently sends virtually all of its 84 billion cubic meters of natural gas exports to the US via 39 pipelines. That vulnerability is ending permanently. Japanese trading house Mitsubishi owns a 15% stake in the LNG Canada project, and Japanese buyers are increasingly interested in Canadian suppliers due to British Columbia's strategic proximity to Japan and the country's massive natural gas reserves. Just imagine that scenario for a second. Canada, not America, positioning itself to dominate Asian energy markets, while Trump's tariff wars push allies toward competitors. Subscribe if this detailed analysis reveals connections mainstream media deliberately ignores. What we're witnessing is the reshaping of global energy power. Germany's industrial collapse opens the door for other European nations to fill the void. Canada's pivot to Asia creates a new energy corridor that bypasses American control entirely. And Trump? His tariff strategy just backfired spectacularly, pushing one of America's closest allies to diversify away from U.S. dependence. The geopolitical implications are staggering. Europe's economic engine is sputtering while North American energy flows are being redirected across the Pacific. This isn't just about trade, it's about the fundamental restructuring of global economic relationships. Stay informed, stay alert, because the next chapter of this story is already being written. Like this video if you want more deep analysis that cuts through the noise. Subscribe and join our community of truth seekers. And if you appreciate independent journalism that connects the dots, consider supporting our work. The establishment wants to keep you in the dark, but together we'll keep the lights on.